Good day, fish tankers. Welcome to the show. Today we're going to do a product review and unboxing of a new sponge filter. The load shedding here in South Africa sure has got me fixated on old school air driven stuff because they can run off your battery, AC/DC or air pump or whatever. It's one of those pumps that have a bit batteries that you have to replace as well. Now we all know the traditional forms of the sponge filter. This is the one that sits on the bottom of a tank that's weighted, that I mostly use. There's another one of suction cups that sits on the side of a tank. Now there's a version of this one as well where it's got these little compartments at the bottom that you can put extra biomedia in as well. So you always have some biomedia there that you don't have to clean unless it really gets clogged up, which doesn't happen often. And we know those as the Quanvi sponge filters, like this one, but with a compartment for biomedia. But now it seems we have a sponge filter that sits on the bottom like this one, but has got that compartment for your biomedia as well. And it's called, I've got to get my reading glasses so this age doesn't leave me behind either. It's the Antopie Super Bio Sponge Filter. Is this an improvement? Is this something new? Is it something that we maybe should look into having in our aquariums as opposed to the regular sponge filters that we normally have? Let's open the box. Okay, well, first off, you should not make fun of somebody who speaks broken English because it means they can speak another language. I speak English, Afrikaans and isiXhosa. But I do not speak Mandarin, so I'm not going to give him too much of a hard time. I just think sometimes for our English or Western ears it is amusing. It's called the Antopie Super Bio Sponge Filter, and the description reads pneumatic water demon filter, culture nitrifying bacteria mute sponge filter. So pneumatic, probably they mean air driven, water filter, demon filter, so it's a heck of a filter. And mute sponge filter, they mean silent. But let's see what's in the box. Antopie, maybe you must just get a professional translator to write your copy there, but that's no big deal. Tell me in the comment sections, have you found funny descriptions on the Chinese brand products? I've also had one saying that this product must not be operated by a person of small mental capacity, but that's nonetheless. Now let's see what gets out of a box. It's a nice sturdy box and it is in plastic. What else? And it's quite lightweight. Something's just dropped out there. I don't think I'm going to need my reading glasses anymore, so let's take that off. So here's a little nozzle that sticks into the side here, it seems. Goes in there and your airline attaches, and we have, of course, the sponge that sits on top of the filter here. Let's see, how do you get the sponge off? There, this goes off. Here's a cap, and then we have a sponge here that comes off. So this is the biggest model. There are 3 different models. I got this one at McMarva. This is the biggest one. It costs 158 Rand. So it's a little bit more expensive than your simplest sponge filters. But for a more sophisticated one, it's not a bad price. If we look at the sponge here, we can see that it's a substantial piece of sponge. It's a fine sponge. It's a fine filter sponge. And I have some fine filter sponges, and I have ones that are less fine. I don't know if you can see in the camera there. It is quite a fine filter sponge as opposed to this one. These are the Boyu sponge filters. This is more coarse. I actually prefer this one a little bit more to the fine ones. But I have a fine one there in the puffer tank, and it works just as well. So it's not a big deal. Now let's look how this works. How does one open this thing? Because the biomedia goes in here, and I think it also has a place for an air stone. And now I'm stumped. I don't know how to open this thing. Okay guys, here we're looking at the box, and it's hard to pull apart. So it's kind of finicky. There's two tabs here at the edges here. So I'm going to try and use this flat point screwdriver and just lift it up from the edge. There we go. There we gotten rid of that. And this is the biomedia compartment that we have here. Now here, you can see there's a little pipe where your airline connects that comes in, that feeds the air into the middle of this beginning of an uplift tube. And in here is a hard plastic air diffuser. It's not an air stone. It's built in. I don't know how small your fingers must be, but I can't pull it out with my finger. It seems to be here permanently. And it's got a little, like those never clog air stones that you see from aquarium co-op almost, there's little slits there where the air is supposed to come out. So this you'll have to take out with a pair of pliers, and it looks to me like it is stuck here. It doesn't, wait a minute, there something goes, there it comes out. So there something falls down again. Okay, so it has got a way for you to get in there and clean it up. But as you can see, with me starting to sweat, it's a heck of a finicky thing. You see that's where it goes in, and you have to replace it there. And then you can turn it, and that will let the air out. We'll test it in the tank right now. So I don't like this little uplift here already. I would have liked to have been able to turn this loose and screw it out. Getting the little air diffuser out here with your fingers is very, very finicky, as is opening the lid. I think that could have been designed better. And here's the compartment for biomedia, but it comes with no biomedia. Now, also, that's not a train smash to me. We always have biomedia around. Most of us, we have what we could regard as our favorites. So I'm just going to put some sintered glass media, you know, these nodules that you get from an old canister filter of mine. I'm going to put this in the box, and it holds quite a substantial bit of media here in the box, I see. So let's just put it all in there. Hopefully this will be enough to make it sink. There, nodule flies to the floor already. And then one just puts this one with the airlift right back on top. If one can just match these tiny little tabs the right way. I've got to say that I'm a bit of a klutz as well. And I need my reading glasses to see where everything fits here. Okay, snaps back together. So it snaps in like that. Your biomedia is there along with the air diffuser. You'll see at the bottom, it's got little slits here. It sits on the bottom, so it can suck water from underneath the filter through the biomedia, and as the air column rises, it also will pull in water through the sponge. And then we replace the sponge back on top, and then there is a nodule that goes right on top of the airlift. Once again, a finicky thing, but there it goes. No, not quite yet. There. Now it's snapped together. This is how it looks. And I am going to try this out in one of my tanks just to see what it looks underwater and how it operates. So hang on for that. Okay guys, and now we're here at the downstairs at the big tank, and it's the biggest in the range. As I've said, there are 3 different sizes. This is a big size, costs 158 Rand. Expensive side for a sponge filter, but I think not too much if you compare with the Quanvis and so on. And I'm just going to try and put it on the tank here, and I'm struggling to get it through the opening because the lights are in the way, but here we go, it's in. Now we're going to have to squeeze all the water out of that sponge and have it go into that compartment. As you can see, there's hardly floor space in my tanks for a filter like this, because everything is covered in plants. How lucky am I? But let's just have it there. Give a sponge a bit of a few squeezes, just to squeeze all the water out. It's tricky to do this with one hand, but I'm trying here. You don't want to end up messing up your plants. Let's just try and get the sponge flush with a bottom filter container. There we are. Give it another squeeze. Sorry fish for disturbing your Saturday. And there we go. Down it goes. There it sits on the bottom. And I'm just going to switch on one of these battery powered air pumps of mine. There it goes. Oh, it's just a very small air pump. I think if we hook it up to a bigger pump, it should have more bubbles. And you can see the air diffuser is working. It's bringing out the bubbles there. Not bad at all. But if I compare it to the one sitting there in the corner, if I bring it closer, see that one's moving at a different clip, but that's a much more powerful air pump. This is just the small Sobo battery powered little pump. And you see it does produce a steady stream. Not a lot, but it does. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this air line up to the big air pump that's sitting underneath the tank, and we see if that makes a big difference or not. Just bear with me there. Okay guys, now it's running on the bigger pump. It's on a big Sobo air box, running at about 40% power. So you can see now it's moving around at a much nicer clip. And yes, would I use this? I think at some point I'll do a long-term product review, and I'll put it in the corner there at the back instead of my normal air pump, and we'll see how it goes. It's a big filter, so a big size filter like this, it's meant for, I would say, 150 to 250 litre tank. It's definitely meant for a bigger tank, like the tank that it is in now, and we can hide it behind the decor, because it is quite a bulky filter. It's a big sponge filter, this. But as you see, with enough power and that air diffuser, you can tweak it so that you can have a bit of control over your bubbles. But it looks quite, I like the square design. You know, it will fit nicely in a corner. You can always hide it behind the decor, like I say. And it will fit nicely into a corner, and you have that versatility of having the biomedia in the box. But on the other hand, is it really worth it? I find it very finicky. Like I've shown you, it's hard to open that media box to get your biomedia in, at least for a klutz like me, but it's not impossible. I figured it out. You just use a flat point screwdriver or any flat object, and you just wedge it open, and then you can put in the biomedia of your choice. And then the top of the airlift where the bubbles are coming out, you need to sort of pull and wedge that open to get the sponge loose as well. So I think there's a bit of a design here that could have been better. You know, you could have had that top of the airlift where the bubbles go. You could have just had it, but you could screw it open. That would have been much easier. And if you had the lid of the box that holds the biomedia below, if you just had a sort of a clip, or if it could slide off to the side, that would have made it easier to open. But all those things I can live with. I'm not too fond of the air diffuser down there that you have to try and wedge out with your fingers. If you've got big fingers, you're going to have a trouble. You can overcome it, but now you've got to have a sharp nose plier, I would say. You're going to need that to get the air diffuser loose. And the air diffuser is of a permanent kind. You can see it's a permanent plastic air diffuser. When it clogs, you can use one of those little brushes that you use to clean canister filter hoses with to clean it with. But I would have liked it a bit differently. That bottom part of the airlift where the diffuser comes in, if it could only have just screwed off and you could just add an air stone of your choice, that would have been a bit of a better design for me. So everything works, but it's finicky. You're going to have, when you clean this thing, there's going to be a bit of wedging, and you're going to need a little plier to get that air stone loose again, and that permanent plastic diffuser to clean it out with a little brush. I think it could have been better designed, you know. Just have all these airlifts screwing in and out. If you could completely screw out the bottom part of an airlift where the diffuser sits, then you could have just replaced it with a normal air stone. Or even if I just have a little plastic diffuser there as it is, you could have just taken that out. It's much easier, much more accessible. So there's a little bit of accessibility problems here, but I think overall it could work. If you don't like those Quanvi sponge filters, that's the other sponge filter with a biomedia in, then this could be an option for you. As I've said, for design, it's a little bit finicky. I'll give it some time, because what I found with the Chinese brands, they do tend to somehow listen to what we say. I don't know how, but they must be watching these kind of videos or the comments on the internet. And I do find that they improve the flaws in their products, like they did with the new generation AC/DC air pumps. So I think they might improve these little things over time. Those are just the improvements that I would have liked to see on this filter. So, you know, I can't give it an unequivocal yes, and I can't really say it's absolute rubbish. If you want a sponge filter that sits on the bottom that you can combine with biomedia, yes, buy it. Just know that you'll need a little bit of I would say get a sharp nose plier to get that diffuser in and out. You will need that as time goes by, and you need to clean it. And take note that you have to put in your own biomedia. That is not included. So you have some sintered glass media, or some cheapest would be just some smashed up lava rock or pumice, or if you want to buy Seachem Matrix, it's really only pumice. You can use that as well. I think something like a Seachem Matrix, pumice, something like that, a gravel-like almost biomedia would probably be the best fit, because it is a substantial container. It holds as much biomedia in the big model here as that goes into my old Fluval 3 series, the old Fluval 303. It holds as much biomedia as that. So yeah, it has a lot of media, but finicky design. That's what I think, guys. Tell me in the comment sections, have you tried these sponge filters yourselves? Do you think they're worth it? What kind of sponge filter do you run if you run them? Does anybody have a Quanvi sponge filters? I see a lot of shrimp keepers have them. What are your experiences with those? And what do you think of a price, 158 Rand? And is it something that you would use or not? Am I a bit too much about the finickiness of a design opening and closing? But that's me. So guys, leave a like. And if you've watched this far, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And until I see you guys again, please keep taking good care of those domestic denizens of the deep.